Caitlyn is one of the best legends on patch 13.15, especially if you are master or below. It is FREELO. There's a couple ways to play this. I've been testing it quite a bit and researching some other players. So let's get into it and find out why. So if you're wondering why is Caitlyn stronger on this patch opposed to other patches, and the key thing is Stars Are Born. We're going to talk about Stars Are Born and Starter Kit. Those are going to be the basis of this. Caitlyn's other augments are really whatever and are very, very specific to spots, so I'm not going to talk about them too much. Very specific times you want to take it, not general augments you want to take. But the Stars Are Born got buffed a couple patches ago to where you gain 6 gold. Now, this is very broken because what Stars Are Born does is it gives you 6 gold, which allows you to hit your econ thresholds early on in the game. 6 gold is a lot of gold in the early game. And then also, you get to get a free upgrade for a tier 2 and a tier 1 unit. And when you buy these units, it does not cost gold. So you effectively get like 15 free gold in the early game, and it gives you board direction and board strength. It's really crazy. This is honestly overtuned, and I would not be surprised if it got nerfed on next patch. And the reason why this wasn't as strong on the previous patch, it was decently strong and can get you a good placement, but the reason it wasn't as strong is a lot of the early game lines weren't very good, like Kale, like I mean, Storks are pretty good, but like Kale wasn't very good. Noxus wasn't as good. The early game line for Noxus wasn't as good last patch. And all those lines that weren't as good got buffed, and the outs for those lines got buffed. So like Shurima is actually pretty decent on this patch, whereas last patch Shurima was very specific to augments, very specific to spots. And last patch was really, we just played Freelyord Flex or we played Ahri. So last patch was kind of an anomaly, whereas this patch is a lot more balanced, at least early on into the patch. Additionally, there are some one-cost reroll builds that you can play right now, at least at the time of making this video. This might change. Meta might change a little bit, but there's a lot of one-cost reroll builds you can play, and Stars Are Born are very good with that. We'll get into that into a second. So that is why Stars Are Born is so strong, and this is the key to Caitlyn's strength in the early game. Starter Kit additionally is a lot better on this patch because a lot less people are going level 9. Before, when you took Starter Kit last patch, if you took Starter Kit, you'd get a lot of tempo with, like, you know, maybe you get a Nasus and a Renekton. You know, you start the game with that. That's a lot of early game power, and maybe you get a Cassio too, you know, just naturally. That's very strong, right? That core is. But the problem with it is that people were hitting 9 on 4-2, and it doesn't matter how much tempo you have in the early game, you're taking 30 from all the Ahri players. So it's a lot better on this patch because a lot less people are playing Dragon King and doing that strategy. Additionally, a lot of the outs are buffed again. Like we just said, last patch, really you just played Freelyord Flex or you played level 9 comps. Now you can play like Shurima's. Sorks are a little bit easier to play. A lot of comps are a lot more viable. So when you get the starter kit drop that kind of forces you into a direction, you feel a lot better about your in-game comp and the early game tempo that you get. Now, there are 2 ways to play Stars Are Born, and that is going to be the core focus of this video. I do think one-cost rerolls are quite strong, at least at the time of making this video. So last patch, the advice would have been given to always pre-level, which is where you buy 4 XP on 1-4 to get you to that level 4 so that you have more 2 costs in your shops. That was the advice on last patch. Now is a little bit different. If you're not willing to play a 1-cost reroll comp, then always pre-level to get the option to get more 2 costs in your shop so you can play around a little bit more flexible lines, and we will talk about those. I have a bunch opened up here at the top here. We'll talk about some of the lines. So if you do not want to play a 1-cost reroll, then definitely pre-level every time so you can have more options. And I just want to say, if you do that, it is going to be a little bit more difficult to play. Like playing the tempo style of Caitlyn is a little bit more difficult for some players because you need to know how to play multiple lines and need to know how to play multiple outs. So you need to know like how to play if you get a Vi drop or you get a Cassidon drop or you get that. So just be advised, you do need to know more outs and stuff like that. So maybe this legend isn't for every single player, especially if you just you're not willing to buy a lot of other things, then it may not be for you. And the other way you can play this is if you don't pre-level and you're willing to play 1-cost rerolls. That's how I prefer to play it because it gives me more options for my econ, and I have more options for 1-cost rerolls. I think 1-cost rerolls like Samira Samira Noxus reroll is quite strong. And so you can get that angle to just like get a really early Samira 1 or Samira 2-star and a really early Swain 2-star. It's really crazy because you can tempo into a 1-cost reroll, which is not normal. And then additionally, I think you can play Jin reroll with a set 2-star. That gives you a lot of early game tempo. And that comp is actually pretty solid. It's not as good as the other comps, but if you could just hit a really early Jin 3, it's really nice. So let's talk about some of the openers here. And so the strongest one, I think, on the current patch, and I'm going to show you a bunch of different variations, is if you get a Swain drop and you buy the 2-star Swain and you buy either Cassiopeia or Samira. I prefer Samira if you have the option, if you're going to actually play the reroll tech. So I do prefer Samira. And I'll be dropping a guide on this comp specifically if you want to play the reroll tech. But Swain is so powerful. I think this is the strongest version on this patch right now. Another one that's quite strong is if you get a Kassadin drop and a Malzahar. So this gives you an instantly upgraded Void. So you have a 2-star Malzahar, 2-star Kassadin for free. And so something that's really nice about this, and I didn't mention this earlier, is you typically want to buy the 2-cost frontliners rather than backliners. The 2-cost frontliners are just really strong. And then a lot of the 1-cost carries are really strong, opposed to the other way around. Now, there are some exceptions, like you can do like a Jinx and like a frontliner, you know, like that can be fine because Jinx is quite powerful, but I think this is really strong. So yeah, this is a really good opener right here. You get the upgraded Void, you get the 2-star there. This can be quite strong. Right here, you can do the same thing with a Vi or a Kassadin, and then you can buy Orianna, or you can buy Malzahar. And so it's really nice when you do Vi and Ori. Ori is quite strong in the early game. I do prefer Malzahar a little bit, but now you have the angle to play Piltover. So if you get a Piltover on 2-5 or something like that, or 2-2 or 2-3, then like, wow, you have such a crazy opener, and you have a 2-star Vi. That's pretty insane. Additionally, this one is one of my favorites as well. And this gives you, if you don't pre-level, this gives you the option to play Jin reroll. So you can have a free 2-star Jin and a free 2-star Set. That can be quite nice. You can also do a 2-star Warwick and a 2-star Jin. And then if you just buy a 1-cost or buy like a single copy of Set, that can be quite nice. But you probably can't do the reroll tech now because you can, but it's going to be a lot harder to hit Set 3, which Set 3 is quite powerful in Jin reroll. But if you can just get a free Jin 3-star, you can just play tempo off of that. That can be good. I had some 3-stars on 2-3 this patch. I think I had a Jin 3 on 2-3 last night. That was crazy because of Stars Are Born. Here's one. Honestly, I haven't played this one, but they did buff Kale. They buffed Galio last patch, and they buffed Poppy. So you would buy Kale, and then you would buy Galio. Perhaps you could reroll from this spot. I don't play a lot of Kale reroll. I'm not going to play a lot of Kale reroll either, but I do think it can be strong from this spot as well. And then here's another one. This is when you buy a backliner. I think if you have a Taric drop, so if you got a Taric from your PvE rounds, it can be quite powerful to get the drop there, and then buy the Soraka 2-star can be very strong. And then hopefully you can get a Bastion 2-star for free. Like if you get a Bastion, like if you have a 2-star Poppy or 2-star guy, the tree, Maokai, if you get one of those naturally out of your shops, and then you get a Taric drop, man, buying the Soraka is quite a powerful opener, especially if you have some AP items. So anyways, guys, this is the Caitlyn strategy. Remember, you can play for 1-cost reroll if you want to keep that door open. Do not pre-level. If you just want a tempo and you just want to be as strong as possible and you want to have your options as flexible as possible and you're willing to play a bunch of different lines, then pre-level on 1-4 to get all of your options for all the 2-cost units. And you want to buy a 2-cost frontliner, a 1-cost carry. That is not always true, but that is the general rule of thumb. There are exceptions, of course, depending on your spot and all that good stuff. But anyways, that's it for the video. Appreciate y'all. I love you all. And hey, I heckin' love TFT.